Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations with Friends. I'm Meredith, and I feel this is going to be a very, very special interview with someone who has made his mark not just in Miami, but in New York and around the world. So I want you to meet Jamar Roberts, who is a dancer. He's been a dancer with Alvin Ailey. He's been involved with companies all over. He's a Miami person. He grew up in Miami, and that's where his whole dance world started. So Jamar, I am really happy to get to meet you, although we met before once,
Mhm.
and and talk with you. And yeah, I mean, most people, how can I say, like they want to, to make it, in terms of, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of talent, and you've seen so much of it, but it's
Yeah.
not such an easy world, modern dance or ballet or any, a lot of the arts. But you really, you made a big impact over the
Yeah.
years. Not that many years, but enough years to say, wow, success story. So
Yeah.
congratulations.
Thank you.
And should we just start with Miami, how it started? I mean, with New World School, right? Or maybe a little bit before.
A little bit before, I
Yeah.
actually started informally in Jacksonville, Florida, when I was 10 years old. My immediate family and I moved there shortly after Hurricane Andrew in 1992.
Mm.
And there was a young girl that lived in my apartment complex that was in a after-school dance program. Our school was right down the street, it was a straight
Mm.
shot, and she told me that they needed boys in the program. And she asked me if I would go, and I went, and I've basically been dancing ever since.
So it
Um,
was immediate love, love for
it,
dance.
it it really was. It really was. For me, I think the first thing that drew me in was the music, and then
Mm.
of course it was the dancing around, dancing to the music, being able to interpret that music through your body.
Mm.
A year after that, we moved back to Miami, and I was in an arts magnet program. I think it was Mays Middle School at the
Mm.
time. Um, I was in visual art, and after I had that little stint the year before in dance, I immediately switched my arts focus to dance. And so a lot of my training before New World happened in the magnet school program.
Oh,
Um, and
you
I
see,
also
in the
did,
magnet school before New World.
yeah,
Yeah.
several magnet schools. I went to Southwood Middle School, which is a magnet school. I was at Coral Reef Senior High, which is a magnet school. I went to a bunch of different magnet schools. And I
You were
also had
everywhere.
I had some supplementary training at Dance Empire, which is a dance studio in South Florida. One of the teachers there, Angel is her name, kind of pushed me toward New World, and then I went to New World and I met Peter, and
Peter
then
London, we should say,
Peter
who
London
introduced us. And
taught me all the things there, and then shortly after graduation, shipped me off to New York. So
that's like, I think, every dancer's dream, right?
yeah,
To
yeah,
make it,
yeah.
to get to New York and make that happen, though it did happen with Peter London and his, well, not at
Hmm.
his global dance company because he didn't have it yet. He was a kid, right? He was pretty
Yeah.
young. So that you, what was it like? People recognize your talent, right? They just saw it.
Hmm.
Was it something that the way you danced? Was it just something about, maybe your dedication and everybody knew that you had this talent, this potential.
I don't know what they saw, but I can say what I think they made them
Tell
see.
me. Yeah.
Well, I'm very tall. I'm 6'4",
Mm.
and it's not often that a 6'4" man comes walking into a dance studio. And dance is a visual art form, so I think that was one of the things that may have drawn them in. Um, and another, I think I was trained by people and had mentors that taught me to dance from the inside out. Do you know what I mean? Yes, we can kick and we can turn and you can jump really high, but it's that singular expression that only you can bring to any space. I think that may have been something that sort of separated me from the rest.
Do most people that you were most people when you were, younger, Were they on the track too? I mean, I'm sure that to get into some of these magnet schools, you have to have talent.
Yeah.
But, some people, they're good, but they know they don't really feel that they can pursue it.
Yeah,
I
I
get
grew up
the
with a lot
feeling
of
you
friends
felt
that were.
you could pursue it in the dance world.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I honestly didn't have a great sense of like what the dance world meant. You know
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
mean? But
Uh-huh.
I had people that gave me a pretty good sense about, what to expect,
Mhm.
um, what would be expected of me, and it sounded like something that I could handle.
The work involved, I mean, it's not an easy kind of life, is it? A lot of physical work, a lot of
Yeah,
rehearsals,
yeah,
kind of nonstop. It isn't just, oh, okay, I did my work and I paid
yeah.
for a picture or something and I can move on. It's not like that, is it?
It's not. It's
It's,
morning till night, especially if you have performances. When I was with Alvin Ailey, we had a rehearsal day that started at 10 a.m. and ended at 7 p.m. And that was just on a regular day if we were in New York City rehearsing. And that's, 6, 7 hours of
wow.
dancing, pretty much
Mm.
nonstop. You get an hour break in between. But if we were on tour, it would be those rehearsals, and then you would do a performance at night, which wouldn't end until like 10 o'clock, 10:30 at night. And you'd have to go to sleep, patch up your body, eat some food, and you'd have to get up and do it all again the next day. So yeah, it was a very grueling um, career, but it was also really rewarding in a lot of ways. I mean, I got to travel the world and see
Mm.
places that most people have never seen. I got to perform roles that were originally created on legendary dancers before me, and being able to take on those roles artistically and interpret them in my own way it was all very exciting.
Mm.
Especially in the early days, the work didn't always feel like work, because I'm doing the thing that I love. So oftentimes it felt like play. You're just out there, dancing with your friends.
I'm wondering if people are getting a little not jealous, but like, oh, I would like a job like that. I would like to do that where I'm just playing, enjoying. So you've got so much enjoyment out of your career.
Mhm.
It wasn't just one step though, as I was seeing. You first got into the Alvin Ailey school, right? And I mean, there was different steps before you made it into the Alvin Ailey dance
Right,
company.
right, right. So I started at the Ailey School.
Mhm.
And then from there, I joined Ailey 2, which is their junior company. I did that for a year. And then
Mhm.
from there, I joined the main company, the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, where I danced for 18 years,
Mhm.
basically.
And as I understand it, modern dance has changed a lot over the years, hasn't it? And I think that you were really part of that change. You've kind of pushed a lot of things ahead, some changes in terms of how the dances are, what the messages are in the dances,
Yeah.
and just kind of creating not a new dance form, it's still dance, but just a different way of thinking about dance.
Yeah. I think I was probably creating or have been creating from the same sort of space that a lot of um, the choreographers of the past have been creating from, but I just do it in my own way. I do it in my own voice. I'm creating for uh, the present.
Mhm.
My voice is a contemporary voice,
Yeah.
and it's one that is full of stories to tell, I guess you can say, and maybe not stories in the linear sense, but at
Mhm.
least um, uh, giving the audience something that they can um, relate to.
So it
Essentially.
might be an issue even. I mean, I've seen that a lot of performances now or deal with maybe, people that are, suffering in the world or just things going on, trying to get a message across. Is
Absolutely.
that happening
Yes.
more and more?
Yeah. I mean, as we know, there's so much going on in the world, and some would say that it's the artist's responsibility to bring light to those issues in a way that is um, that injects a little bit more hope and a little bit more beauty because in order to speak about them, we're using sound, we're using dance, we're using paint, we're using, all of these, artistic forms to speak to these things. And so maybe, watching the news doesn't work for everybody. You know what I mean? Maybe somebody just needs to hear about an issue or to feel connected to an issue, but, told to them in a different way, brought to them
Mm.
from a different angle. And I think that maybe that's what art does.
I think it's about the experience of art. I mean, like you said, you can see it on the news, and there's so much going on today. And yes, people are affected, maybe more than ever. I mean,
Mhm.
I think, but dance doesn't do it to you that way. It kind of gets into your soul, into
Yeah.
your inners, your inside, your emotions, your feelings when you go to a
Mhm.
performance. It's a
Exactly.
different experience.
Yeah.
And do you think that it has the potential to affect people in terms of change?
I do. I do
Hmm.
I believe that dance and art has the ability to change people from at a very deep and fundamental level. I think all it takes is just the people exposing themselves to it more and more and more and more. And in
Mm.
that way, it kind of seeps into, it's intellectual, it's psychological, it's
It's
spiritual,
beautiful,
into all
beautiful.
parts of humanity.
And Alvin Ailey, I mean, the company was very for. I mean, they're probably one of the greatest companies in the world, right? In
Mhm.
terms of modern dance, they were very aware of that, weren't they? I mean, that was a big part of what they did, or they do. They still do. You
Yeah,
know.
they still do. I mean, Alvin, a lot of his work had to do with a lot of social issues and political issues
Hmm.
because he was a black man, and
Hmm. Yeah.
blackness is political in this country. And so, if
Mm.
he wants to make work that is about himself and about his life, he has to, go into that space and tell those stories from his perspective.
Yeah. And I mean, people feel something when they go to,
Mhm.
a performance like that. They feel
Yeah,
something. It's not just telling you this is bad and this is happening in the world. When it's political, then it's not as emotional as, well, people would disagree with me, I'm sure, but when this gets into your heart and you see something and you experience something, it's different.
yeah.
So in that sense, I mean, do you feel that you being involved, having been involved with a lot of social issues and things like that through dance, that it can create change?
I do. I really do.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as simple as that.
What do you what do you love most about, your, well, we haven't even gotten into what you're doing now, right? And I
Wow.
want to talk about that. But what would you say you love most about being part of the dance world and being a real force in the dance world? You're very well known.
I love that it gives me um, a, a way to express myself without words.
Mhm.
I'm not really one to go around, I'm not like the chattiest person. Um, and I also think a lot of my thoughts and a lot of my feelings are very sort of deep, and to me, they feel very difficult to articulate and to put into words sometimes. So for me, dance and art feels like um, the perfect medium for me to speak through.
Mm. So it comes from, your inner, almost like an inner conversation with yourself,
Hmm.
about what's bothering you or what's going on. And so you don't need therapy. This is your therapy, right?
It
In a
is.
sense. I'm not saying you would need therapy anyway, but I'm just saying if you didn't, you're going through
No,
something.
you're right. You're right. You're right. Yeah, it's a way for me to process.
Yeah. So what do you say to young people today in these hard times? Let's, be honest here right now, right?
Mhm.
Um, when they have talent and they've, got the potential, do you tell them just keep going, just keep doing it?
Well, when young people, what I like to tell them is to, whether they're dancing or singing or doing music, I always like to say stay in love with the art form,
Mm.
um, because it's very difficult, and love is kind of the only thing that's going to keep you in the game when it gets hard. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
That's
Yeah.
that's always my number one advice. I think that's why I'm still in it. So that's what I tell young people.
Love reigns, huh? Love is more, we have whatever it is we do in life, it has to be coming from love, is what you're saying. If you weren't
Mhm.
feeling that, maybe you would have left a long time ago, right?
Exactly.
But you have been very successful. You're known nationally. You're known in Miami, of course, but nationally, really, because of Alvin Ailey and all the work you've done with Alvin Ailey. But internationally, as I understand it, you've performed all over the world, like you said, right?
I have, yes.
So would you say, I mean, your life has been, I don't say easier, but it hasn't been that kind of struggle because it seems to me like you always have a job, right? You know, you as time has gone on, you've and now you're choreographing, right? You've gone into a whole other field right now.
Yes.
So tell me about that and your process, your creative process with
Oh,
choreographing.
wow. Choreography. Choreography happened in the middle of my professional dance career. There was a time where I would go on stage and I would
Yeah.
dance. And once I would
Mhm.
finish the piece, I would go to the dressing room. I would take off my costume, put on some other clothes, and I go back to the stage to watch the other dancers dance my work.
Uh-huh.
Um, and that was really special. I don't honestly, I don't know how it all started, besides the fact that I was always making dances. I was making dances back when I was 10 years old. I think the first one I made was in my room to the Aladdin soundtrack, Disney's
Oh,
Aladdin.
loved
It was just a
Aladdin. Yeah.
practice that I had. It was something that I did instinctually all the time. And one that I carried well into my dancing career. But at one point, I think one of my bosses saw me working on something in the back of the room, and he asked me if I wanted him to record it, because I would record everything that I made, whether it was
Mm.
on the
Mhm.
stage or I was doing it in a hallway. I would always record it. And so he held the camera, I danced, he recorded it, and then later on, whenever he would see me working on some dance moves, he would always like take a peek, and he eventually told me that I should choreograph on Ailey 2, which was the junior company that I was in many years ago. And I think that's sort of when the ball started rolling, because after that piece, I was asked to choreograph on Alvin Ailey. And then those pieces became successful. Then other companies started to call me to make work. And it just all just kind of happened. But I wasn't really a young kid that was dreaming of being a choreographer.
Mhm.
It was really something that sort of found me, and
Mm.
I embraced it and
Beautiful.
did my best. And yeah, it's great. I love it.
It's, it sounds like, you know, just everything for you has been kind of I don't want to say easy because I know you've worked really hard. You can't be doing what you're doing. And
No,
no.
but in the dance world, I've been very fortunate. I've had a very fortunate, very privileged, and um, yeah, I've had a really great career, really great journey that I'm
You
still
did,
on, by
you're
the way.
still going. You're going strong. Could you tell us a little bit about some of the things you are choreographing now for, I think, for different companies, right?
Yeah, I premiered a piece on New York City Ballet not
Mm.
a couple months ago. I have another premiere coming up with Alvin Ailey in December. I had the Martha Graham Dance Company is
Wow.
performing in like a month or so. I have a piece that'll be on their stage, and I'm working on something with the Peter London Global Dance Theater right now, actually, which is why I am in Miami.
We're very excited about that.
Yeah.
You know, I've been involved with Peter London. I've been a little part of his organization on the board, and I see how hard he works and
Mhm.
how much effort he makes and
Yeah.
how much passion he has. And
Yeah.
he's really, over the years, you know, just gotten so much more recognition and, you know, people really are passionate, you know, about what he does and everything. So
Absolutely.
it's nice, you know. I mean, like for him, and I know how he feels about you and your relationship and your, you know, your friendship. I mean, you're like kind of the role model for the dance world, right? You know,
Hmm.
But what I'm seeing is that things did sometimes in life people are really lucky and things come to them. And I get the feeling that, yes, you work hard, but you've been fortunate in that way. So what do you say to
Absolutely.
young people that are talented and they go, yeah, but it's so hard, it's hard to make a living, and their parents maybe are telling them, go get a day job, which probably a lot of them I think have to have, right? And
Get that day job, but
keep it.
continue to
Yeah,
do your
right.
work, but continue to dance. I mean, it doesn't. I don't think it's never going to be easy.
Yeah.
It's just not. But
Yeah.
I think oftentimes what you get in return, I mean, is something that you can get from no one else. The feeling that you get from dancing on stage and feeling that you conquered a certain role or that you fulfilled a certain goal for yourself. You can't buy that anywhere. That is work that you put in.
Mm.
And when you walk off that stage and you feel like
Mm.
you are a success, that's priceless. And
Mm.
so whatever you got to do to keep that feeling going, then that's what you do.
Sure. When you know in your heart that that's what you need to do in life, because you're going to be happy that way. And I'm not saying people are happy every second, I mean,
Hmm.
we all have our moments, but if you know this is what's fulfilling me and this is what I need to do, then would you say to them, keep going, keep doing it?
Hmm.
Can can we don't have much time. I know you're really busy, but maybe just mention the choreography, the process. You know, how do you come up with an idea and what do you do once you have that idea?
Yeah, this is a question I get asked often. It's very difficult to answer because every process is different. Um, to make anything, you need time and you need resources, time, money, space, dancers, all of these
Mm.
things. And sometimes all of those resources are sitting perfectly and your process goes perfectly smooth. And sometimes they're not. And so you have to make certain compromises and you have to adjust. But essentially, the idea starts in my mind, and I have to do the work of getting it from my mind and onto the dancers' bodies and then onto the stage. Sometimes that looks like writing things out. Sometimes that looks like me going into a studio and dancing around first to kind of figure out what it is that I'm even going to teach people. Sometimes it looks like me talking into um, the voice memo on my phone because there's an idea or a concept that only I can only understand it if I say it out loud. Um,
Yeah.
um, the process it comes in many different forms. Sometimes you have more time to make a work. Sometimes you only have 2 weeks, and
Oh,
sometimes you have to make a piece of 45 minutes, and sometimes you only have to make a piece that's like 15 minutes. And I think so, depending on the scale of the work, the actual process for making it is always shifting. But I think as long as you are a master, you can handle anything. And that's one thing that I think I'm always sort of working toward is mastery.
Mm.
Not that things get easier, but I think that you start to know yourself and you know your process better. And so when you come across a difficult spot, you don't stress out as much,
Mm.
able to
Good.
rely on all of the other moments where remember all the other moments where they were tough, and how did you get through those moments, and those they kind of compound, and by the time you are uh yeah, and you're able to use them as like a tool in your tool belt.
Mm. So it's you have a process, and it feels to me that it's a very empowering kind of process, rather than
Mhm.
feeling bad about yourself or what, oh, I
No,
didn't
no,
make it
no.
today or I don't know what to do. You just plow right through that, don't you?
Yeah, you can always go back and edit, and if you can't,
Mm.
just try to edit as you go. But
Mm.
there's not a lot of room, at least for me, there's not a lot of room for doubt and
Mhm.
insecurity when I'm making something. Even if it's there, I do whatever I need to push it away. If I wake up, let's say one day, and I'm tired and I have to go into the studio, put on some music and just bounce around to kind of drive that feeling away so that when I step into the studio that
Love it.
I can be fully present and not, bogged down by whatever fears or insecurities that we're trying to make its
So
way into the
that
room.
sounds like a bit of positive thinking, right? And things that we
Yeah.
can do when we are feeling down or we're feeling
Mhm.
exhausted or maybe not a feeling of how are things going to work out. Maybe just get in there and we can do what you do, and dance around, right?
Yeah,
And
but first and foremost, you just got to show up. Like
show up.
I once heard this quote from somebody that says inspiration has to find you working. So you can't sit around and wait for it. You just got to get in there and start somewhere. And
Wow. These are some very, very important things that you're sharing. And
yeah,
they're really moving to me actually, because you're using that same process that I think, people read about these processes, but they don't really know how to do it. And,
yeah,
people feel sorry for themselves, they lose hope, they get frustrated, but you plow through it and you keep going and you keep working. And that to me and you have tremendous amount of talent and the world knows that, as a
thank you.
Alvin Ailey dancer, choreographer, now all over the world. I know you're always on a trip somewhere from what I understand, right?
True.
So, but you're going to be staying with us for a bit in Miami
I
and
am, yeah.
hanging out with Miami Dance Company.
Hmm.
Beautiful. Now you have a performance coming up,
Yeah,
right? And
I do.
yeah. So you want to tell us about it?
Yeah, it's the Peter London Global Dance Company. The piece that I will be presenting in that performance is called As an Offering. It's a full company work. As an Offering is an offering. It's a piece about and gratitude.
Mm,
Thanking the ancestors for the gift of dance and giving the gift to the audience and thanking them for being there and supporting.
that's a very important spiritual
Mhm.
practice,
Yeah,
gratitude.
yeah,
Um, to be able to get up every day and be grateful and not get up every day and go, oh, another day, or why is this happening to me kind of thing, right? So
yeah,
I get the feeling that you've got the philosophy too. You have the talent, you have the a spiritual way of thinking, of living, and
yeah.
it's certainly helped you a lot, in
Mhm.
terms of just being able to move forward and
Yeah.
you don't get stuck. That's what I'm taking from this interview.
I work really hard not to.
Well, that's beautiful. That's really beautiful. And I really appreciate you taking the time. And you've got this program, this, not a concert, a performance coming up. And they can just contact, if it's over by the time people see the program, it'll be on in time. But people can contact Peter London Global Dance and other dance companies, I'm sure, and just keep up with these performances that are happening in South Florida and, just do things that have to do with hope and really just being fulfilled. That's, I think, what the arts are all about, thinking about things in a different way,
Mhm.
right? So it's a pleasure getting to interview you and getting to meet you for the second time.
Thank
Right.
you.
And I
Thank you
look
for
forward
having
to
me.
seeing you again at upcoming shows,
All right. Thank you.
performances. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Mm. And wait, I want to thank Marianne Weiss, who's been helping the last few months, being here to record and make sure things get posted and everything. And we couldn't have done it without Marianne. And Marianne is, when she's not doing this, she's helping others as a social worker, as a very involved person with the Brahma Kumaris Meditation Center. She teaches classes in Peace Village in upstate New York, and Peter's been there. Probably know that. And yeah, she does a lot of things to do with really trying to bring change in the world, positive change in the world. So thank you, Marianne. Thank you so much, Jamar.
Thank you.